2.1, we have report number 25-014 from the Chief Financial Officer regarding the draft 2 budget report previously received by Council on January 27th, 2025. So over to you, Melissa.
Thank you. So good afternoon. I would like to thank you all for being here, either in person or online, for the public consultation of the 2025 budget. I did want to note that the numbers and information included in the following presentation today are going to vary slightly from the draft 2 budget that was attached to the public consultation agenda. The draft 2 budget included an estimate for the Peace River Agreement funding of $16.7 million, which was based on the 2024 amount, and we received confirmation subsequent to draft 2 that it was only $16.3 million. The reduction in funding of $417,000 and council decisions on the budget impacts of the reduction have been incorporated into the budget version that is being presented to you today. I did want to let you know that no public comments or questions were submitted as of this morning. Public in the gallery are welcome to ask questions from the delegation desk at the end of the presentation. So Council has a fiduciary responsibility regarding the management of the public resources. Today's budget public consultation aligns with Council's commitment to be transparent in their decision-making, creating an environment for respectful and honest communication, and taking ownership and accountability for their decisions and actions. The budget presented today determines the level of service that will be provided by the City of Dawson Creek. The budget lays out all the city revenues, expenses, and capital projects. The city must have a balanced budget, and this can be a delicate decision-making process that involves council weighing the necessity of either reducing services or increasing property tax income. Before we get into the financial information, I thought it would be beneficial to go over the general responsibilities of the different levels of government within Canada. If the City of Dawson Creek takes on responsibilities outside our envelope, we do have to shift that burden to property taxes. You are likely already contributing through provincial and federal income tax. Council advocates for services outside of the city envelope at a provincial or federal level regarding concerns in our community. The Council is currently at the public consultation phase of the 2025 budget timeline. They have already received a budget assumptions report, draft 1, and draft 2. This public consultation gives the opportunity for feedback to Council to consider any necessary and additional changes before draft 3 that will be presented on March 10th. The 5-year financial plan will be up for adoption at the Council meeting on April 8th. Property taxes are determined by multiplying the assessed value of your property by the property tax rate. The City and Council controls one half of this equation, the property tax rate. Your assessment value is determined by BC Assessment. For 2025, the total assessed value as compared to 2024 increased by 2% across the city. This wouldn't be the case for each individual property. You may have some that have increased by less than 2% or maybe more, or you will have some that will have decreased. Within the 2025 budget, the proposed increase to all property tax rates is 6.5%. If we were to look at the average home cost at $277,000, the 6.5% increase equates to an additional $122.81 per year for the municipal portion of your property tax bill. The City of Dawson Creek completed an asset management plan in 2024. It's a strategic document that outlines how the city will sustain and manage its assets. The plan revealed that the total replacement cost of the current existing assets is $1.1 billion. This highest category being facilities at $364 million. To sustain the services offered by the city, the assets we know will eventually need to be replaced. To stay current with those replacements needs, the city needs to fund the general capital budget by $21.7 million per year. Funding to the general capital budget within the 2025 budget is $12.4 million. To help close that funding gap, the council approved an additional 1% tax increase beyond the original planned 5.5% increase. The additional $210,000 that was raised from the additional 1% is being allocated directly to capital reserves. This is the breakdown of the proposed municipal tax rates for the 7 different property classes within the city of Dawson Creek. These rates are all inclusive of the 1.5% paving levy. Property tax rates are commonly referred to as in mill rates. It represents the amount of tax per $1,000 of an assessed property value. The calculation to determine your annual municipal tax bill is detailed there. You take your assessed value, divide it by 1,000, and multiply it by your applicable class mill rate. So far, we've only talked about the municipal portion of your tax bill. The city of Dawson Creek is not the only government that taxes properties in the city. Only 64% of your property tax bill goes to the city of Dawson Creek. The city is required to collect taxes on behalf of other organizations, and we have no control over those rates. This calculation is on the average house value of $277,000. The monthly municipal portion would be $168, with $94 going to other government bodies. This chart breaks down the monthly municipal bill of $168 and how much is spent on the services the city of Dawson Creek provides. The largest being RCMP, bylaw, and animal control at $28.12, and the fire department and emergency operations at $18.27 per month. The city budget is comprised of 2 main funds: the operating budget, which handles the day-to-day revenue and expenses, and the capital budget, which focuses on investments in long-term assets and infrastructure. The capital budget is funded by various government grants that must be used for capital improvements and cannot be redirected to cover operating costs. What that means is that the city cannot use these funds to offset a property tax increase. So as an example, skipping projects like road paving, roof replacements, or equipment purchases does not free up money to reduce taxes, as these grants are strictly designed for capital improvements. As we go through the presentation, we're going to focus on the operating side first. So this graph shows the breakdown of the $66 million in total operating revenues. The largest source is property taxes, followed by the Peace River Agreement. The Peace River Agreement is additional funding that is shared by 7 municipalities within the Peace Region and the Peace River Regional District, and it's funding from the province in recognition of the support that municipalities provide to the industrial tax base that resides outside municipal boundaries. This is a summary of some of the user fees we collect that help offset the expenses that the city incurs. And so you'll see some of these revenue sources coming in when we start to look at the various expense departments. This graph is a breakdown of where the $66 million in total revenue collected is expensed. The largest expense is the transfer to our capital budget there at $19.3 million. Next is protected services, community services, and transportation. Some of these expenses are partly offset by revenues that we do collect. Corporate administration oversees legislative matters, administrative function, human resource, finance, IT, and communication to ensure efficient government and service delivery. Other general includes building insurance, utilities, repairs and maintenance, janitorial, and other small expenses. Development Services manages planning, zoning, and other related development services, along with fostering economic development and tourism initiatives for the municipality's growth. This is also where you'll see the first user fee coming in that helps reduce certain offsets of expenses. Protective Services encompasses police, fire, safety, bylaw enforcement, animal control, and building inspection that work collectively to ensure the well-being and security of our community. Transportation includes engineering, Public Works, BC Transit, and air transportation. And some of Public Works responsibilities include snow plowing, sand and gravel, sidewalk repair, drainage and steaming, lighting, and line painting. Community Services manages culture and recreational parks, trails, facilities, and programming to promote community engagement and enhance residents' quality of life. The revenue of $2.2 million there included in the user fees, as well as the $1 million grant that we receive from the Peace River Regional District for the recreation services we provide to the rural residents. The Ovintiv Event Center net subsidy encompasses the day-to-day operations of the Encana Event Center and the South Peace Community Multiplex common services for the entire facility, which includes HVAC for the Ovintiv Event Center, Ken Bork Aquatic Center, and Lakota Center. We'll now shift into the capital portion of this presentation. So the capital budget in 2025 includes revenue of $40 million, the majority of which flows from the operating budget via the Peace River Agreement. The 2025 budget also includes $2.95 million from General Capital Reserves, which is the Growing Communities Grant that was received in a prior year, that in 2025 it was used to support the construction of a splash park within the community. The $40 million in capital funding is being invested in long-term assets and infrastructure. The larger buckets being funding is going to support paving, sewer, and facility projects. Debt servicing is decreasing as we're seeing loans being paid in full, as well as council's decision to not proceed with borrowing for the last 2 years when an additional $5 million in paving was completed. And you'll notice in 2028, you'll see the reduction, and that is related to the loan for the South Peace Multiplex being paid in full. Council has set the goal of allocating 70% of the PRA towards the capital budget by 2030. The proposed 2025 budget does meet the current year targets in allocating 60% to capital. This bar graph details the reserves that the city has, and you'll see that they have grown substantially in the last 5 years. We do know the city has a vast infrastructure of roads, sewer, drainage, parks, facilities, water, equipment, and vehicles, and the replacement of these assets will require the savings of these funds, and that's been demonstrated in the asset management plan that was completed in 2024. And so that concludes my presentation on the 2025 budget, and thank you.
Thank you, Melissa, for putting all that information together and explaining it in such a great way. I just wanted to add one thing just for clarification before we go to the next order of business is just out of the 6.5% proposed tax increase, 1.5% is for the paving levy, 1% for the assessment, and 4% for to help reverse the PRA funding. So I think that the city and the team has done a great job at keeping this to where it is, considering all those inflationary costs. So good job and thank you. Next, sorry, Councillor Earl.
Sorry, I just wanted to add the note, I guess, for the benefit of the public who sees, as the mayor said, the sticker shock of a 6.5% increase. It's not popular. It's not an enjoyable experience to raise the costs associated with living here, certainly not in this time, but I would highlight that for every dollar of tax revenue collected in Canada, municipalities account for approximately 12 cents of that dollar, and we're responsible for over half the infrastructure. So at a certain point, if we are going to fulfill our responsibility to future generations, to maintain our infrastructure and cultivate the kind of community we want, there does sometimes come cost increases associated with that.
Well put. Thank you, Councillor. All right, next order of business is 3, the correspondence and delegations. I don't believe there was any correspondence, no? Okay. So next, 4, I'll call for any public comments. So welcome to those in the gallery. If you did have any comments, you're welcome to come up to the delegation table. You could, there's really, we could have open discussion around any part of the budget or any questions. So I will call for any public comments. Calling once. You can go ahead, Heidi. Just have a seat, and then you just push the button on there, and then I'll turn it on. So welcome, and thank you for coming.
Hi, thank you. My name is Heidi Cooks-Cardos, and in the past I've been here representing early childhood education. Today I'm here to represent seniors, particularly the Exploring Art group. We have been at Northern Arts College for the last 10 years, and we have been given notice to vacate our studio in June. Our president, Rosemary Reed, has pounded the pavement to find an alternate space for mostly senior ladies. We have 18 paid members to find another studio. And we would like to be at KPAC because that is our art center. So I would like to know if there's any possibility in the future to move the early childhood education part out of KPAC and make that space available for artists. I know we need daycare centers, but now that I'm a senior, I'm looking to help seniors along. So is there any way to move Koana's daycare into a different place so artists can use the space?
Yeah. First, thank you for coming in, and thank you. I actually had a meeting set up last week to come visit you, but because of the cold weather, it got moved. So I'm going to come visit the organization at the next date that it works for you and everybody. So as far as the Kiwanis Performing Arts Center, I know I've had some dialogue with them in regards to this and space, and they're limited on space right now, but the city of Dawson Creek owns the facility, but it is operated by KPAC. So I don't know if, Kevin, if you want to speak to the question on that was asked. You know, obviously we have a lease with KPAC, so or Councillor Earl, you wanted to, Councillor Earl?
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, I'm the liaison for KPAC, so I'm not going to presume to speak on behalf of the Board of Directors. Have you had a chance to speak with their executive over there? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not sure if they advised. They do have a new strategic plan in place that does include rebalancing, I guess, the facility and having the emphasis tilt back towards arts. As in recent years, you may have noted, the child care component has taken up the lion's share of time and focus. So I can't commit to anything on their end. I would suggest that they'd be eager to have that conversation, and without being able to speak on their behalf, I think their goal, as laid out in the strategic plan they all voted on and supported, is to see the facility get more use for organizations like your own. So I would read Gibbon is the current president over there. I'm not sure if you know Gibbon, but I'd reach out with him and let him know, number one, you're in time constraints because you've been given notice to vacate, and then see what's doable, because I think there is an appetite free up the facility. But yes, as you've noted in recent years, the daycare has started to encroach further and further into what was dedicated space for arts. So it's something we're aware of. We can't commit to anything on behalf of the nonprofit that runs it, but they're aware of our desire to see that fulfilled, and they've committed to that themselves.
So the idea of building a daycare center at the old K-Park on 95th Avenue is a pipe dream, it's not?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess that's one of our strategic priorities is in there is childcare. So we're exploring that right now when we put out RFP to the region to start that exploration into childcare and realizing the need for it. But yeah, just to look at the bigger picture of that and what is best. And also to Councillor Earl's comments with Gibbon, I did speak with Gibbon, and I know he has had conversations with the president of your organization, and they do have a new strategic plan and are very focused on getting it to that, to be more of an arts and culture, and it's definitely a priority to them. But
Because that's what we wanted, right?
yeah,
An art center.
yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then also too, like we did have some public consultation, or I guess some public information centers on that property you were speaking about, where the old K-Pac was. So we're also exploring that as well, what the best use of that is for the community, and and utilizing it. So
Good. Thank you.
yeah, you bet. Thanks, Heidi. Sorry. Councillor Parslow?
Just to add a little bit, the president of the Exploring Art Group did go to K-Pac about the use of a room there, and was told all the rooms are fully booked. I shared this information with a couple of members of the board of directors for K-Pac, and they're aware of what was said, and I think they're going to be reviewing the message that staff gives to the public, because there's a problem with what was said. So the Exploring Art Group cannot be expected to climb the stairs up to the loft. It's great for kids, but not suitable for many artists, let alone seniors, because of the equipment they have and so on. And so they definitely do need a place for September. They're okay for March where they're at. They have a facility for them to use in April. They disband in April and regroup in September. So I'm hoping that the board of directors for K-Pac will make the facility available in a suitable way for artists very quickly.
Thank you, Councillor Parslow. Is there any other comments from the public? No, I will call one time for public comments, call 2 times, and I'll call a 3rd time. With that, I will close the public consultation session. Thank you, everyone.